We are finally at the moment everyone has been waiting for. March Madness coming down to two more games and then the national championship. We got the four best teams in the country going at it this week. I can't wait. It's been hard to watch baseball, Braden, because I'm so excited for college basketball.
I'm so excited, Tanner. And for just before we start, for the people out there saying it's been one of the worst March Madness ever, I'll agree first couple rounds, but this is what we want, the four best teams in the country going at it on Saturday. So looking forward to it.
I hate that argument. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I do hate the argument of people saying that this was not a good March Madness. This was a great March Madness. I don't need to see the low seed come in, win a couple games, and get smoked in the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16. It's not what I'm interested in. I'd rather see the best teams going at it, which we're going to get this weekend. Again, we will talk about that in a minute. But before we do that, Braden Burcham here, joining the show. Grant is still over the pond in England, so he will be back next week. But Braden's coming in hot with his Final Four picks. And also make sure you guys check out WSN.com. That's linked down in the description below. Also, subscribe to the show. Best show on YouTube for sports betting. So make sure you guys get into it and subscribe. But yeah, Braden, a lot of people have been saying that this tournament wasn't good. This tournament wasn't successful. And I would push back on that tenfold. I think we're going to get the best Final Four ever. This is going to be awesome. But we also got good games throughout the tournament. Like, let's not forget that Texas Tech nearly upsets Florida. We get that moment, that great comeback. There were tons of other moments throughout this tournament where teams made runs that, one thing goes a different way and an underdog wins. And that's going to happen as we progress through this NIL era. There's still going to be Cinderella teams. There's still going to be upsets. McNeese State had a great story with the manager, Amir Khan, for a while. So there were moments where the dogs did show up and made games tight. They just didn't end up winning.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people forget we got McNeese. We still got Drake. I mean, we got a couple upsets. I think the reality is in today's day and age, we want the 15s, the 16s to kind of give the ones and twos a game. Era of NIL, that's just not going to happen. So we're going to get some 11s over 6s, some 12s over 5s, but I think the day ends this year with the 1s and 2s going down with NIL. So
NIL getting out of control, the portal right now, it's wild. And the AJ Store too. I saw this on Twitter today. This kind of blew my mind. AJ Store, do you know what I'm talking about?
8 for 8.
Four high schools, and he will be at his fourth college this fall. I just don't even know how these kids get an education, because two of the high schools on there, it was like it was the place out in Nevada. IMG was one, and then the place out in Nevada, it's like a powerhouse for football. I could look it up here.
Bishop Gorman or something like that. Yeah,
Bishop Gorman. So that was the other one. So two of them I knew. The other one was an academy, and then he left a place in Kansas, right?
Illinois. He's from Illinois.
Okay, so he left a small place in Illinois to go to three big schools. How do these kids get an education? Like, we've totally lost the plot. And I'm not saying that an education's everything for some of these guys, because a lot of them are going to the league, like Cooper Flagg. But there's a lot of them who aren't going to the league, and then I can't imagine they studied a damn thing in college.
Well, and then sports aside, I mean, when you're moving 8 years in a row, like, I mean, I just don't understand how that's possible. I mean, all you're leaving all your friends, like, sports aside, but I don't know. I mean, it takes a guys a couple of years to get, involved in a system and get used to everything, how the offense runs. When a guy's bouncing around 8 years in a row, I just don't see how that player is going to be any good. But he did tear it up at Wisconsin. I don't know why he ever left. If he had to do it over again, I think he would have stayed. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where he ends up. I heard St. John's, he might be going back there, so we'll see.
I just don't get that either. Like, going back, somebody did that this year too. I don't have the name in front of me.
The kid from South Carolina. Yeah,
he went back. He took a year off and went back there. It's like, have some loyalty to your school. It doesn't seem like there's bad blood, though. That's the crazy thing. And I've never experienced a situation where I was playing sports or seeing it from the outside world where you go tell a coach that you're transferring and there's not bad blood. Like, now it's just like, it's expected. The kids are going for the bag, and they get the bag and they leave, and coaches expect it. And that's kind of sad too, because you want that feeling in your stomach where, damn, like, I got to walk into the coach's office and say, like, hey, I'm transferring, coach. Like, they don't have that anymore. It's just like, it's kind of like play now mode on Madden or something. You're just picking a new team every damn time.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. And part of me, I've been seeing things that, it was a Bill Self thing, but I mean, when you have a kid like that, it's proven to just go for a year and leave it. It's hard to believe it was a coaching thing. So we'll see. We'll see where he ends up, but I think that's just a new day and age of guys just chasing the bag and getting money. So,
yeah, 100%. So we got some college basketball this week. We're back Saturday night. Starts with Florida and Auburn at 6:09. Then we go to Houston and Duke at 8:49. Before we even talk about these games, though, Braden, I want to talk about kind of each team's path to getting to where they had to go. Auburn struggled with Creighton early in the tournament. That Michigan State game, too, in the Elite Eight was a lot closer than I think people look back at it. Like Michigan State did not play well. Auburn dominated the game, and there was kind of no doubt they were going to win for an extended period of time because Michigan State couldn't close the gap. But it also took a lot of Michigan State misses from the field. And if a team heats up, if Michigan State was able to heat up, I do think there was a path for them to win that game. I don't feel overly confident in Johni Broome's elbow coming into this one because they have to play through him so much here. But Auburn, as the number 1 overall seed, I expected them to get to the Final Four, and they were able to do that. So what have you seen from them just so far in this tournament?
Yeah, I don't know if this is crazy to say or not, but I mean, I have not been impressed with Auburn. Obviously, they're one of the best teams in the country, but like you said, if they were playing anyone else during that Michigan State game, I mean, they're out of this tournament. I mean, Michigan State went like 4.5 minutes without scoring, couldn't make a 3 to save their lives. So, I mean, they squeaked away there. We'll see. They're going to face their toughest test in Florida this week. So we'll see.
And it's hard not to forget about the Michigan game, too. Michigan had an 80% chance to win that one with about 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I believe. So it's a team in Auburn that not necessarily has put it together so far in this tournament consistently. I mean, they've looked good. They've covered the number. But there's been times where they've been shaky, especially with Creighton. They weren't playing through Johni Broome. That game was close down the stretch. You kind of always figured Auburn was going to pull it out. But they did, but it just didn't look good in the process. So I think we're going to have a little bit of that in this game against the Florida Gators. And Florida is a team known for not playing well. They love not playing well in the tournament to the last 3-4 minutes of the game, and they find a way to pull through. Texas Tech, credit Florida for winning the game, but also you need to say Texas Tech blew the game because if they make the front end of one of those 1-and-1s, they're probably winning. Are you afraid to bet on Florida? I know we're going to get into our picks in a little bit, but would you be weary of betting them in this spot?
No, I think I'm not afraid of Florida at all. And actually, from a gambling person, like them going down automatically is happening to Florida. That's paid off the last couple games. So shout out to Gators. But no, I'm not afraid of them at all. They'll figure it out. Every game in this tournament, besides 1 or 2, they've been trailing, for like 24 minutes, 25 minutes, and they find a way to. They should not have won that Texas Tech game. Walter Clayton stepped up, but sometimes that's what it takes. One guy stepping up. You take away, I think we talked about earlier, you take away his shot against UConn and Texas Tech, and Florida's not here. So, but they don't scare me at all. They're going to figure it out. They've been, in my opinion, a top 2 team in the country since January. So I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to start fast in this one. They haven't really started the game fast, but like we talked about, Auburn needs Johni Broome a lot more than Florida needs any of their guys because Florida, all 5 guys can score it. So I got confidence in Florida this week. I think they're going to start fast.
Yeah, so I posted that video on the WSN social pages. If you guys go check those out at WSN Sports, where you were talking about how Auburn doesn't necessarily have 5 scores. And, Auburn's got guys that can score. Don't get me wrong. But what you meant by that and what I feel you meant by that is Johni Broome is the one that the offense has to go through, where it's like a guy who's averaging a lot, and then you got a lot of guys right around 10, 11 points, where Florida's got bulk scorers all over the place. It does not have to be Walter Clayton. And for a chunk of this tournament, Walter Clayton has bailed them out of holes that he has helped dig himself. There's a lot of scorers on that Florida team that can step up in the spot. I do agree with what you're saying, but I just have my fears of how they start. They play lazy, they play sloppy, and there's absolutely no game plan with Todd Golden, and that's concerning to me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I actually love it. I actually love that old school style coming back, not setting plays or for an example, like a Kansas this year where Bill Self called all the plays. Like I just don't get that. The game's changed. Some of those older coaches, though, Tom Izzo, they like to call. I like Todd Golden. Just let him go out and play basketball, see what happens. But no, I do agree with you there. They definitely need to start out faster, get some structure in that offense. But we'll see. We'll see if they game plan for Broome. And yes, that's what a lot of the Auburn guys in the comments I saw that. No, that's what I meant. Auburn needs Broome more than I think Florida needs Walter Clayton. So shout out all the haters in the comments from that. But no, that's where I was going with that. So
you're never going to be right in the comments. Like, it's just how it is. You like the best TikTok comment in the world is "you don't know ball." Like, bro, don't know ball. Bro, don't, like the dude with no profile picture.
Exactly.
That, has 3 followers. Like, bro, you don't know ball. And I'll say this too. I've gotten trashed in the comment. Like, people take those clips too seriously. I said again, I go back to Michigan State. I had a future on Michigan State to get to the Final Four, and I'm disappointed they didn't. With that being said, I'm happy they got sent home because all these Michigan State haters in the comments came right after me after they won the Sweet 16 game. They played nobody. They played absolutely nobody to get to the Elite Eight, and then they played terrible in the Elite Eight. And I had one dude actually who came in, and he was like, "Well, this was a pretty good season," and I'm like, "Have fun on vacation now, buddy." He's like, we made it. We made it all the way to the Elite Eight. What did you do? I said, "I'm a back-to-back national champion, buddy." Two-time back-to-back national champion. Hell, you know what? I don't really watch girls basketball, but they're going to win one too. So I want another one, buddy. What have you
There
done?
you go. There you go. My favorite clip of all time is that Moneyball clip. If you don't win the last game of the season, no one cares. That's the one I use all the time.
That's the truth. Like, 3 of these teams are going to experience heartbreak this week. I don't know if I was a fan when I would want a team to lose. From a betting perspective, I'll tell you what, I need Florida to beat Auburn and get to the national championship so I can potentially hedge with Duke, because I don't know if I believe in them in that spot. And maybe Houston upsets Duke. But yeah, from a betting perspective, go as far as you can. But from a fan perspective, if you lose in the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, the first round, the Final Four, the national championship, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be upset.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like that's changing more and more as we go on. If you don't win the national championship, it's like, what was this season for? At least that's how I feel. So, I mean, everyone's gone through, the tournament championships, some natties. But, I mean, if you don't win that last game, it really doesn't matter.
So the reason I do love Florida just in general, they find ways to win. Gator boys stay hot. Like, there's not a team with better vibes in this tournament than the Florida Gators. Like, Duke still, like, everyone looks miserable when they're playing. Auburn, they run through Janai Broome. I like Bruce Pearl, but they just don't have any good vibes. And then Houston's a hard team not to root for. But Florida, that team is all about vibes. And I like the fact that they've been battle tested throughout the entire NCAA tournament. Like the close game against UConn. Right now, looking back on it, I'm happy it happened. The way the Florida-Texas Tech game happened, I'm happy it happened that way and they found a way to pull through, because that's going to help them. Where a team like Duke haven't had a close game. And they haven't really had many close games this season in the ACC. They started with Mount St. Mary's, dominated them, dominated Baylor. They beat up Arizona. That game was closer than it probably should have been. They still won by 7 there, but that one was a little close. It definitely wasn't as close as some of the games Florida plays. And then they just obliterated Alabama in the Elite Eight. So are you afraid, Braden, if say you're a Duke bettor, would you be afraid knowing this team hasn't been tested coming into a Houston team that, really looks like they can give them the business if they play their style of basketball?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we forget a lot of the time that Duke's in the ACC. I mean, it's not like they're playing SEC basketball. So, I mean, like you said, they really haven't been tested. I know they played Auburn earlier in the year, but non-con. But, I mean, yeah, this team's in the ACC. And I'm not discrediting Duke at all. I mean, I think on paper they're the best team in the country. But a lot of times in this tournament, it's not about the best team in the country that's going to win it all. It's whoever's getting hot at the right time. This is my favorite matchup of the whole season. We got the best offensive team versus the best defensive team. I think Houston can cause some problems, so we'll see.
Yeah. Houston's going to cause some problems. I think they present a lot of challenges for them. And again, we'll break that game down in a few here. But looking at Houston specifically, I heard a really cool story today, and this is one that I wanted to share. Kelvin Sampson, this was a guy who wanted to coach in the NBA for a period of time. And about 11 years ago, I think he asked his dad, I want to go coach in the NBA. Should I stay in college? Should I go to the NBA? His dad's like, you need to stay in college. That's what you're meant for. 36 hours later, I believe his dad passes. And he kind of took that as like divine intervention. This was what's going to keep me here. And this is why he's been so successful, because he, like, his purpose and everything goes into coaching college basketball, college age kids. And the Houston kids, credit to them, they don't transfer a lot. That's a team that stays together, and Kelvin Sampson does a nice job keeping them in play. I like Houston. I think their inability to score twos is going to be a problem at times throughout the Duke game, but just from a fan perspective, that's a team that I want to root for.
Oh, 100%. I don't know if you've seen those videos of what they do in the offseason, but Kelvin Sampson, I mean, he's got them boys ready to run through a brick wall. I mean, all those guys, they have to run like under 5-minute miles. I mean, they go through like military training in the offseason. Like it's insane. And like you said, none of those guys transfer. They all stick together. It's kind of like the old school basketball. So yeah, I would love to see a Houston win, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he says they let me coach them hard, and that's good. That's what they need. And it's paid off, and it shows how they play defense. And forever, Houston, say what you want about their scores. They haven't been great over the years, but Houston can play defense, and that's something that they've always been able to do. And defense has nothing to do with talent. Defense is all mentality. It's effort. Defense. If you don't play good defense like Alabama has the athletes to play good defense. There's no excuse. They just don't do it because it's not implemented in how they go about their business every day. Where Houston, defense is a effort thing. It's a mentality thing. And that's what Kelvin Sampson has done with the program. So got to give him credit. And that's why they're going to be successful against Duke if they do win the game.
Yeah, and I saw a stat the other day. They're getting like 72% 50-50 balls diving on the floor. It's stuff like that. It doesn't take talent. So that those guys, I mean, I know they're so deep. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's LJ Cryer or the fourth guy coming off the bench. They're always going to hustle, get back. So I love the firepower they bring. This will be the toughest test of the season for them. So looking forward to it.
So let's get into this Auburn versus Florida game on Saturday night, 6:09 tip. First off, I like the 6:09, 8:49 tip. I feel like it used to be 7, 9:30. Am I wrong about that or am I right?
Yeah, 100%. I can't remember if it was Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, but we got like 6 of the games in the morning to afternoon, and then 2 games at night. I'm like, what are we doing? So something needs to change with the scheduling. Hopefully, it does going forward. But
So Florida -2.5, total set at 159.5. Money line is -150. Florida beat up on Auburn earlier this year. They played them one time. They went on the road and they dominated. I don't know if this game's going to be as dominant of a performance, but when I look at talent on both sides, I can't get myself to pick Auburn in this game, no matter how bad Florida has played throughout this tournament. At times, they have the much deeper team. They have more dominant scores, and they've dug themselves out of some adversity. I think there's a lot to be said about that. Florida knows if it's a tight game down the stretch, they're going to find a way to pull through because they have Walter Clayton. Now, I don't know where the SEC tournament version of Florida went. I don't know where that second half team of the season went, because half the time in this tournament, they've looked like they couldn't play basketball. You know, you go back to the start against UConn looked really good. Then they just couldn't pull away. They couldn't find a way to get through. Even against Norfolk State, they started really hot. They played really well early, and then they kind of let Norfolk State enforce their will on them down low. And that wasn't a game that Florida ever had any doubt of losing, so you can't look back to it. But I need the Florida team that comes out, takes care of business, and doesn't turn the ball over. If we get that, they win the game. If Auburn wins, you're probably going to look back on it and say Florida cost themselves the game with X, Y, or Z. I can't necessarily name the stat, whether it's free throws, whether it's turnovers, but Florida cost them the game.
yeah, they did. They definitely need a fast start. And people forget, I don't think Elijah Martin didn't play in that first game when they went to Auburn and they won that game by 9. They could have easily won that game by 20. So, I mean, they've already showed us they can compete with this team. They covered that game too. But no, on paper though, I like this Florida roster so much better than Auburn. We talked earlier. I mean, this Auburn roster on paper, I mean, they should be more talented. They're all 30 years old. But I like the vibes going on with the Gators. I like what they're doing. So you're 100% right. If they start this game out fast, like this game could be won for Florida in the first half. I mean, they get out to an early lead and then Walter Clayton takes over. I mean, they're golden. So we'll see what happens. I love everything going on with that Florida team. So we'll see.
Dude, the Auburn ages are insane. How that's just not college basketball. Like, at what point are we going to say there's an age restriction? And I get COVID and stuff, but man, like we got to start getting towards the end of this whole COVID era where kids missed a season. Like, it couldn't play in the NCAA tournament, so you get the extra year back. Like, that's a problem, because Florida, I mean, they got some young bucks on that team. They got some old dudes, but I mean, Auburn start 22. If you ain't 22, you ain't starting on their team, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. There needs to be some restrictions. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was some 26 or 27-year-old still playing college basketball this year at some Power 5 school. But I'm like, at that point, like, you got to be looking for a job. You're not going to the NBA. Like, it's getting out of control.
So Walter Clayton Jr. Now we talk about Johni Broome and how much Auburn's going to have to play through Johni Broome. Will the Florida Gators play through Walter Clayton? Is this the Walter Clayton legacy game to get them to the national championship, or is this an effort by the whole team where it, may take some big Clayton shots, but the whole team contributes here? What do you think?
I think just like the story of their tournament, I think the whole team and then Walter's got to take over in the second half. I mean, I don't know why. He must be a second half player. That's what we've been seeing. But no, this is a game where Florida, they need to play 1 through 5. They need to play hard D and stop Broome. But I think just like we've seen throughout this whole tournament, they need all 5 guys to score and then Walter to take over, last 4 minutes, because he's proven he's already done it 2 or 3 times. So.
Yeah, my biggest fear in this game is the low post. Michigan State was allowing Johni Broome to start basically the 3-point line and back himself down in the low post and make shots. Florida has been susceptible to, really good post play. Texas Tech just obliterated them down low. That's going to be Auburn's strategy in this one. I don't think we're going to get anything cute from Bruce Pearl. I think he's going to see, hey, what has Florida struggled with? And it's the low post, and let's get Johni down there. So Florida switches a lot. It seems like there's always dudes open for 3-pointers. I think we're going to see a hefty effort down low on Johni Broome. if they do that, it's going to leave guys open. But at the same time, too, I think you'd live with other guys shooting the basketball and taking Janai Broome out of this game, because he is the key for Auburn. It is so glaring how important he is to this team, where, with Florida, Walter Clayton in the first half sometimes looks like he isn't doing anything. He comes alive late, but they're still winning first halves without Walter Clayton, where I can't say the same about Janai.
Yeah, 100%. I also think this is a game where, Todd Golden knows they need to stop Broome, get him in some early foul trouble, because Auburn, I mean, they're still good without Broome, but they're not the same team with him out there. So maybe he picks up a couple fouls early, has to go to the bench for 5-6 minutes. I think that's going to be Florida's game plan. Attack him as much as possible. When he's not on the floor, that's when Florida can take advantage.
If I'm Florida, this is the matchup I want in the Final Four. I was thinking about that. I'm like, if I'm Florida, do I want the number 1 overall seed? Do I want Auburn, a team that I'm familiar with, or would I rather have Houston, or would I rather have Duke? If I'm the Florida Gators, I want the SEC matchup. I think that's only going to help them. They know what they're going against. They know, similar styles across the board. And they've played like opponents, where Houston presents challenges to Florida if Florida isn't scoring, because Houston could just suffocate them. And then Duke is probably the best team in the tournament when they play their game. So if I'm Florida, this is the matchup I want. And this is one where I look back after I say I should be in the national championship game if we do our job. And that's what Todd Golden is probably telling them this week.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about Florida at all. If I'm a Gator fan, I think that trip to the national championship's coming soon. I think I love the vibes going on with the Gators too. And Todd Golden's done a fantastic job. They're going to be ready for Broome. And like I said, they're going to play 1 through 5, and they're going to, hopefully Broome gets in foul trouble. But no, I'm definitely leaning Florida -2.5 for this matchup.
I need Alex Condon to step up a little bit. Like, I know he got injured in the Sweet 16, but I need Alex Condon to be that guy. He has not been the same. I believe he had an injury in the SEC tournament, but he has just not been that guy, the same that he was in the second half of the season with Florida. Almost seemed like he lost his confidence. He could be the one that's the MVP in this game, because he's going to be matching up against Janai Broome a lot here, and he can make a huge difference for them, especially too with Janai Broome guarding him down low, like Walter Clayton switch, and that's going to open up Clayton for threes if he can find him. So I think Condon's probably the guy that has to, really bring the punch for Florida in this one. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think Elijah Martin too. I think they're going to double Walter a lot, especially off screens. I think Elijah Martin, if he hits some shots, he's going to keep Florida in this game. But no, Condon, he struggled a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a game where he needs to step up. I think he will. He's got a great matchup. He's going to be fired up against Broome. So we'll see what he brings. But no, I think him and Elijah Martin both, they all have to step up.
Story of the tournament for Florida right now: Bennett Anderson getting the scholarship from walk-ons and going viral with the reporter. The girl, I don't know whether Talia or Tabitha, I don't even know her name is.
Something like that. Yeah,
she's been like all like Florida content. Like, she's the one you want to watch. She's had so much good stuff from the tournament. But she had the interview with Bennett Anderson, and Bennett went on. He got a point. He got a bucket at some point in the tournament, and then she was interviewing him, like saying, like, what do you need to do to keep moving on? And he's like, I just need the guys to play well. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see. So Florida, the vibes are immaculate right now with Florida. Like, that is a team. If you're betting on Auburn, like, you're a sick person. You don't care about the vibes at all, and I don't like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this team's going in the locker room 2 minutes after the game, filming TikToks and everything. I mean, how do you not like a team like that? I mean, it's crazy. So honestly, I honestly, like, they bring the most vibes in college basketball outside of McNeese this year, and I'm going to get behind that. So
the TikTok thing's weird to me. So I've been indoctrinated into Florida Gators TikToks now. Like, every time they win, I'm going to go watch them. Like, I was watching them all on replay. But the TikTok thing's interesting to me because it reveals what you're actually betting on with college kids. Like, these are children. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, these are kids. Like, when you think to win, like, hey, imagine like Kobe Bryant, and I know it's a different era, but winning game 3 of the NBA finals, right? He's got one more to go, or they're up 3-0 or 3-2, whatever. And him going in the locker room and shooting a TikTok. And I know it's a different era, but like, that's what you're doing with college basketball kids. And that's where it's like, okay, well, yeah, they miss free throws. They turn the ball over. Like, they go film TikToks after. And that's what makes it so fun, I think, but also so hard at the same time.
No, it's so fun. The game's definitely changing, but we want to see people. We want to see teams like that. Like, we have managers right now that are transferring schools, and everyone's tweeting it. Amir's going to NC State with Wade and all that. Like, as a fan, that's what I want to see. Like we all have our teams, but like when stuff like that happens, like it's awesome to follow. So I've definitely gotten a couple laughs from the Florida Gators TikToks, and let's keep the vibes going forward in Florida.
Yeah, even the Kevin Willard story, I think you got to capitalize on this stuff now if you're college basketball, because once your tournament ends, people stop caring about you. I mean, I know all the coaching changes have been made, but if you're Kevin Willard, like that storyline on the NCAA, even though he didn't conduct himself in the best way, probably, like I'm invested in Kevin Willard now because of what happened, but people don't really start caring about college basketball until the NFL is over. So once that happens, people get more into it. But right now, specifically, basketball's got to capitalize on all these storylines, whether it's Amir Khan, whether it's Kevin Willard, the Patinos in the Big East next year, because that's what's going to get me to turn it on earlier than the end of football season.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with you there. I mean, because I would say a lot of people, they start getting into it like February, March, conference tournament around. Like if this stuff, was going public and like when the season started during Feast Week or Thanksgiving, I mean, I think the sport would only grow. So,
yeah. So our next semifinal game, Houston versus Duke. Really interesting game here. Opened up at 4.5. It's now up to 5.5. You're going to get a lot of public money on Duke. Duke's a great team. They're probably the most complete team in the tournament right now. They go way beyond Cooper Flagg. And Flagg's really starting to establish himself as that guy. Not that he didn't earlier in the season, but just what he's been able to do in the NCAA tournament, especially not knowing his status. I think a lot of people picked Florida early on because we didn't know what Cooper Flagg's ankle was going to look like. It was totally fine. There's been no issues with it. And he's really established himself as the guy. Not that he didn't earlier in the season, but some of these performances have just been lights out. And they're really, the way the Duke team is playing together right now gives me a lot of confidence. With that being said, I'm going to take Houston, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But Braden, what's your thoughts on Cooper Flagg and just this Duke team overall?
Yeah, no, I think their biggest X factor actually has been Con Knipple. Cooper Flax, he's done it all, but Knipple, he's scoring like 20 points a game for them. So when you have a player like that that's doing the things that Cooper's doing, that's a hard team to beat. That being said, I think Duke's going to be challenged this week. This is going to be the toughest team that they've played all season. I love this Houston team. I'm going to be on Houston plus 5.5, just because the way they defend. I think LJ Cryer is going to have a huge game. Because let's be real. I mean, Duke, they have everything on offense. They're not a better defensive team than Houston. So Houston will get their way. Like you said earlier, though, they're 2-point field goals. I mean, they have to shoot the 3 too. If LJ Cryer's missing everything, then you might as well chalk it up. But I think this is a game where Houston, they're going to go down to the very end. I think they can backdoor this game. I think Houston could potentially win this game. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be the game of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, 3-D. 3-D is going to win. Houston doesn't need to do anything they haven't done all season. They haven't shot the 2 ball all well. They haven't been great from the mid-range all season. They don't have to be. They need to make their threes, and they need to play great defense. Like, you could tell in that Tennessee game, it was over within 5 minutes because there was no chance that Tennessee was going to crawl back into the game the way Houston played. Duke goes down 10 points in this game. We got a different story. Like, if we get that 10-0 run from Houston at some point, Duke's going to have a tough time crawling out of that hole, because if Houston's going up, chances are they're making their threes or they're having their way down low, and then they're playing defense and they really slow the pace down. Like, there's so many dumb moments where teams got the other team on the edge, on the brink of elimination. And Florida does this all the time. It's just how they play. They play too fast. They rush something. They give a turnover back. And then just like that, the lead's cut. Where Houston is going to go up by 8 points, and they're not going to rush down the floor. They're going to continue to play slow, not push it, because they're going to set their offense up and they're going to make a good shot, where a lot of teams don't do that. So when Duke goes down, they're going to have less chances to crawl back in rather than playing against sloppy ACC teams.
No, that's a great point. And if Houston gets up to a 10-0 run, 12-0 run, I mean, it's going to be very hard for Duke to climb back. Most of Duke's games in the tournament, I mean, they've gone on like 10, 12-0 runs, and then they just coast from there. I don't think that's going to happen against Houston. This is a team, they guard on every possession. They wear you down. So if Houston can make one of those, 10-0, 12-0 runs, I think it's going to be very hard to climb back in.
Yeah, I think the storyline for this one, if you're reading the paper the next day, it's Houston's going to the national championship. It's Houston played great defense, number one. That's got to be, they need to set the tone with how they play defense. And against Tennessee, I felt bad for the Volunteers. They literally had no good chances at shots, at least early in the game. In the second half, they came alive a little bit, but at that point it was over. So if you are Houston, you need to set the intensity on defense. but then you also got to be efficient on offense. You got to keep pace with Duke. Duke's going to score no matter how good you are in defense. And if you can keep pace and give yourself a chance to make that run late in the game, you're going to be just fine. If this is a 5-point game down the stretch, I'm more than happy being on Houston. I think that is right where Houston wants to be. And I think Duke can play in close games. We just haven't seen it necessarily play out against a team this talented. And Duke, if they're tested, who knows how they're going to respond here. So I will be on Houston. I think Cryer's got to have a big game, but they just got to bring the intensity on defense. And if they do that, they set themselves up well. I think we've put Duke up on this massive pedestal, and they are the best team in the country. They're the most complete team. They got NBA prospects all over the board. They're playing great. But when you look at how Houston matches up with them, it is a favorable matchup for Houston because they have it's favorable. It's a tougher matchup than Duke's had all season because they have to go against a great defense, and they're going against a team that can shoot the three ball better than a lot of teams in the country.
Yeah, no, this is a great public fade in my opinion. I think like over 90% of the money is going to be on Duke just because how well they've been playing really all season. Another prop I like is Houston team total under those 65.5. I think if Houston has any chance of recovering or winning this game, it's going to be a low scoring game. That Duke's been scoring 90 points a game or something like that in this tournament. It's not going to be like that. Under 65.5 Houston team total, I love. Another thing to keep in mind, Duke just held Bama to 65 points, and that team was scoring 90 to 100 points every game. So we'll see. But I like the under 65.5 Houston team total, and I also think Houston will cover the game. So
that one's a little risky there, the under 65.5, because this game, it depends how it goes. I like your thinking from the perspective of, well, for Houston to cover, they need to have a low scoring game and keep it that way. But if Duke kind of takes them out of that comfort zone and Duke's setting the tempo, like Houston can score too if they got to play faster. So it would probably be a stay away from me. I like Houston plus 5.5. The best way to probably play this game is to sit back and live bet it. And, hopefully Duke makes a little run and goes up even 4-0. You're probably going to get a 7.5, which is much better than a 5.5. So that would be my game plan here, is just waiting and seeing.
Yeah, 100% agree. If they get up, it'd be awesome if they get up to like a 10-0 lead and we can get double digits for Houston, because I do think they're going to cover this 5.5. They're too good of a team not to. So hopefully Duke can get on a little bit of a run early and we can tap in live. But no, I'll still be taking Houston plus 5.5 though.
All right. So you do have Duke winning the game, or do you think Houston's going to advance?
I think this is a game where Duke wins the game. Houston backdoors at the end when it comes down to free throws and everything. I can easily see this game being tied with like 2 minutes to go and Cooper Flag just takes over. The points it's just too high for me. I see this more of like a 2.5. So I think it opened at 4.5 or 3.5, maybe. It's up to 5.5. So that's a little too high for me. So I'm going to be on the Cougars.
So let's get into some hypotheticals for the national championship. They're up on FanDuel right now. If you guys want to get a FanDuel promo code, get some bonus bets, make sure you guys go to WSN.com, check out our FanDuel page, and you can see all that there. Sign up new customers, and you get some nice bonus bets, nice promo from FanDuel, especially for the NCAA tournament. But looking at this game here, we got Duke versus Auburn. Duke coming in minus 6.5 if we get this matchup. Neither of us have picked this matchup. If it's Duke versus Auburn in the national championship and Duke gets there and they get through Houston, I will be gladly laying the points with Duke at minus 6.5.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I said earlier, I think Houston's the only team that can kind of wear this Duke team down and have a chance. But if it's 6.5 in the national championship with Duke and Auburn, I'm going to be all over the Blue Devils. I think that's way too low. When you compare those two teams, it's like night and day. I think Cooper Flag's going to have a day, but we'll see. If it's 6.5 and those are the teams we're seeing, I'll be over the Duke.
Houston versus Auburn. Neither of our picked this one as well. I think I'm on Houston here. If Houston gets through Duke, I don't think they're going to have the letdown. I feel like this would be the magical year for them if they can get past Duke. It's minus 1.5. I'll gladly take the money line there for Houston. Again, I think Houston's biggest strength is the defensive side of the ball. You got Janai Broome, who can obviously back them down and play great, but I think Houston's defense just wears out Auburn here and they get the job done.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the winner of that Duke-Houston game is going to find their way in the national championships. I will gladly be taking Houston at plus one. What'd you say, 1.5 against Florida? Houston?
Yeah, I'll take the money line.
I'll gladly take the Cougars there.
Florida versus Houston. This is where it gets a little interesting. Based on our picks, we could get this matchup. Probably more likely we get the Florida-Duke matchup, which we'll spend a little more time on. But Florida-Houston, you got a Florida team favored by 1.5 if we get it in the national championship. Houston's a bad matchup for Florida just because if Florida is not efficient, they're going to struggle against Houston. I think this is one where I take the Gators to win, and it's going to look really ugly throughout the process. It's going to look terrible.
Yeah, it might be a good under spot there with Houston to see if they can stop Florida. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'd bet that game. It's probably a good stay away. But I would probably lean the Gators as well. I mean, they're just so dominant on offense. Their offense, I think, overrides Houston's physicality on the defensive side of the ball. So I probably would be on Florida in that spot.
Yeah, Florida's got legitimate bigs. They got scorers from the mid-range three. They got Walter Clayton Jr., and they got a lot of dudes that can play. So I don't love the matchup for them because of just how sloppy they play. But if they find that second half of the season team and they bring it to this game, which you're more likely to get the March Madness version of them, which plays really bad for about 35 minutes. If you get that version, I think Houston gives himself a chance, but I'll take Florida. The matchup that I think everyone has said this is going to be at Florida versus Duke. Duke would be -4.5 in this game, currently -5.5 against Houston. I think that this line would go up. It would be Florida probably +5.5 by tip. How do you see this one playing out if we get it?
I agree with you there. I think everyone in America is going to be on Duke. If that number gets to like 5.5, 6.5, I'm going to be all over Florida. But we'll see. I mean, we both agree. I think Duke on paper is the best team in the country. I would love to see that national championship, though. That'd be a great game.
I can't figure out. They are the best team in the country, but I don't know. I haven't seen them against the Florida Gators playing their best basketball. And you know who smoked Alabama on a neutral court as well? Florida. So I don't know what to expect from Duke. I think this Houston Duke game is going to be a really good showing and give us a lot of valuable information on how they're going to play in a tight game. But if the Florida boys come out and play their game, they can beat anybody. And I think the way the odds are right now, we're kind of ruling them out. They're +280. You got Duke at +100. Florida's just as much alive in this tournament as anybody else is. I think outside of Auburn, because I think even if Auburn beats Florida, I don't see them beating Duke or Houston. I think there's 3 teams in this tournament that have a legitimate chance of winning it at this point.
Yeah, 100%. So if you had to rank the Final Four right now, in your opinion, what would it be?
I'm going to say Duke out of respect. I would probably go Florida number 2. And Florida's, don't get me wrong, Florida was higher in KenPom. They slipped a little bit. All 4 of these teams are in the top 4 now. But Florida self-inflicted errors have cost them games, or not cost them games, or put them in a position that's been tough. Then I would probably go Houston, and then I would go with Auburn. I think Auburn was hot earlier. They fell apart late in the season. They play through one player a little too much. Again, they have scorers all over the place, but they don't have Janai Brooms where, Walter Clayton goes down. I still like Will Ricard. I still like Elijah Martin. I still like Howe. I still like Condon. Like, there's a lot of dudes that I trust with the basketball. So that would be my order. How about you?
Yeah, you read my mind completely. I mean, that's my 1 through 4 as well. And I'm not saying, I mean, that's crazy to say we got Auburn at 4 and they're still a great team. But when you compare them to Duke, Houston, what they do on the defensive side of the ball, in Florida, that's my 1 through 4 as well. So you read my mind there.
And this is where it gets interesting too, because when you look at strength of schedule, net rating, opposing team net rating, Duke 54, Houston 22, Florida 18, Auburn 2. So how much is that going to play into this? Does 54 versus the top 20 matter? We're going to find out.
Yeah, 100%. I saw something the other day too. Houston's only lost 1 game since Feast Week, and that was a double OT game to Texas Tech. So, they haven't been used to losing all year. And so now finally they play the best team in the country. So I hope they show out. Like I said, I'm going to be on the Cougars. So I just want to see 2 great games, and then we'll see a great national championship either way, I think, whoever it is.
I would love to see Duke lose. I still don't think Duke's that likable. John Shire has kind of brought the program back a little bit. I think, people are kind of getting behind Duke a little bit more than the Coach K days when they would just run the place. But I don't like Duke that much. I'm more of a North Carolina guy than a Duke guy anyways, if I had to pick.
Yeah, I mean, me and you are 100% the same. I can't stand Duke, but we'll see. I mean, I respect the game. I mean, they've been good. They've been the best team in the country all year. So if they end up winning it, shout out Shire. I like Shire more than Coach K, I'll tell you that, because that dude he won everything. And It made me so mad growing up. But we'll see. I just hope Houston shows up. They give Duke a game. And like I said, hopefully we see 2 great games on Saturday.
And Shire's probably on his way to winning everything too, because the Duke engine is just going to keep cooking, even if Cooper Flag goes to the league, which Cooper Flag better go to the league. If Cooper Flag comes back for another, like say Duke gets knocked out by Houston or they lose a national championship and Cooper Flag is anywhere near coming back to Duke, there's a massive problem. Get to the NBA right now.
Yeah, I mean, how can you top the season he had like this year? I mean, he's the clear. I mean, I haven't seen the mock draft, but I'm assuming he's going number one. I don't know any of the overseas guys this year or whatever, but he's the best player in college basketball. Honestly, probably in the last, what would you say, 3, 4? I mean, Zion, he was up there, but no,
Better,
I mean, Cooper,
better than Zion, yeah, I would say.
So I mean, he's been the best player we've seen in the last 3 to 5 years. So I mean, if they win the national championship, or if they get knocked out, he better go start training for the NBA. He's not coming back.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Well, guys, that was Ride the Line for our March Madness Final Four picks. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you check out WSN.com, link down the bio. Appreciate Braden joining us in Grant's absence. Worth your time, Braden?
Well worth my time. Hopefully I lived up to the standard.
Yeah, lived up to the standard. We'll see how the picks are. We're both on the same side. So if I do good, you do good, and vice versa. But anyways, guys, appreciate you joining us for the show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, like the shorts, do it all, guys. Send us any comments that you have. We'll get back to you there. And we will see you next time on Tuesday to recap all the Final Four action.